Have you ever picked up a book, super excited to read, and then you're like, nah, never mind. I don't want to read this. Well, that's what today's video is all about. Hello, my friends. I hope you guys are doing well. Today is going to be a new, maybe recurring segment, and it's going to be called Books and Beers, inspired by Reading by My Shelf, whose channel I will link right here. I love her conversational tone style, and I want to try it out. And instead of wine, I'm going to do beer. And I'll try to do microbrew ones, but today's beer is my favorite beer. It's a ginger beer. It's Krabby's. This is not sponsored, by the way. But Krabby's is from Edinburgh. It's a ginger beer from Edinburgh, and it's really, really hard to find. And we only, for some reason, can only find it in summer in Canada. So whenever we find a batch, we're like, we're gonna buy some. So we buy a whole bunch, and I got my hands on some today, or the other day. So I'm gonna be drinking that one. And apparently the sound is very satisfying. So let's try it out. Ooh. Okay, me and my fiance had a conversation about this. I don't mind drinking it out of the bottle, but he insists that I drink it out of the glass. And I was like, but I want to drink it out of the bottle. But I don't know. Do you guys have a preference for how you drink your beer? For the sake of the video, I'll just do it in the glass. And there she is. All right, now we got our beer. Now let's talk some books. So like I said in the opening, there are some books that I want to read, but also have reservations about, only because some of the reviews are bad, or it's not usually my kind of book, or you just get a feeling about some books sometimes. And I want to talk about a few of those books today. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is kind of a darling of the sci-fi world. It's like the OG of sci-fi fiction. See the beer already. Just kidding. Yeah, it's an OG of the sci-fi literature, and it's got a lot of hype around it, but it's also kind of long. And I'm talking about Dune, which actually has a movie adaptation coming at the end of this year. So my plan was to read it before the movie comes out, but I've heard some not so good reviews about it, and I don't know if I want to spend maybe a week, maybe two, depending on how long it is, to read this book. You know what I mean? Yeah, so some of the reviews that are kind of steering me away is that it's got some sexist parts in it. It's long-winded, and although it is like a must-read for sci-fi, I do want to read all the like OG sci-fi books, but some of them, like I said, are known to be a little bit sexist. And I'm not crazy about reading books with sexism in them. And like I said, Dune is really long. Like, how many pages is that book? Okay, so Dune is 661 pages, which is not that long. It's long, but it's not like crazy long. And if I were to get it, I think I'd really want like a pretty edition, like a hardcover, just because it is OG. But I think I need a little bit more convincing by people to pick it up. Right now, it's kind of like, maybe, maybe not. But if you guys have strong feelings about it, if you've read it and you loved it, I want to hear your reviews and comments on it. So as it stands right now, I'm like, Dune, maybe not. It's not on my immediate TBR shelf, so we'll see. Okay, so the next one is actually a series, and it is the Mortal Instruments series, and that's by Cassandra Clare, who I have not read any of her books yet. Oops. I've not read any of her books yet. I don't know if I want to. Like, when I started this BookTube channel a couple months ago, I got super excited and I bought lots of books. And on Marketplace, someone was selling the entire set of the Mortal Instruments for like $20, so I bought it. So I have it sitting on my shelf over there. But I don't know if I actually want to read it. I know it has a Netflix adaptation as well. I don't know if it's out right now. I think it is. But I've heard it's a hit and miss. Like, I feel like it's one of those books that you have to kind of grow up reading to be invested in it. And I didn't read any Cassandra Clare books when I was growing up, and I feel like that was maybe a little bit after my middle school time, which I think is like the best time to read those books. But I haven't read them yet, so I don't know. So don't come for me, Mortal Instruments people or Cassandra Clare people. And like the Goodreads reviews are pretty good. It's like 4, which is like, okay, that's pretty good. But again, I don't know if those are people who are like diehard fans because it's related to nostalgia. So, yeah, I don't know how fast I want to get to those books. I don't know. Maybe based on my reading taste, I feel like it's going to be a 3-star at the most. But I do want to give it a shot. Maybe I'll love it. Maybe. But like I said, all the books I'm going to mention, I'm going to need a little push, a little extra something for somebody to say, no, you should really give these books a shot. So if you're one of those people, please give me a little push. Let me know what you thought about those books. Okay. So the next book is Girl, Wash Your Face by, what's her name? Rachel Hollis. And I did read her Girl, Stop Apologizing? Yeah, that's when I read. Because it was a part of my Goodreads challenge, so I read last year's nonfiction winners, and that was the one. And if you have not heard the Rachel Hollis controversy by now, you should look it up because it's kind of funny, Girls Wash Your Face is kind of one of her first self-help books, and it took off and it got lots of awards, New York Times bestseller, whatever. And so I like I said, I read Girls Stop Apologizing. It was my first DNF in a very long time. Like, I could not read that book. It was so unoriginal. It was like reading a BuzzFeed list for improving your life. Like, wash your hair, drink green juice, meditate every day, work out, and don't be fat. Yeah, it's not. It sucked. It was uninspired. And I don't want to say too much on the controversy right now. If you're interested, just look into it. But pretty much what it boils down to is she is exploiting women's insecurities and profiting off of it. And based off what the first book that I read, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is not good content. So I kind of just want to read Girl Wash Your Face to make a rant video. Is that bad? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how mean I'm feeling, I guess, later on. But yes, Girl Wash Your Face, I think might be the lowest on the totem pole out of all the books I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so the next one, I think it did come out this year, and that's American Dirt. And this one had quite a bit of controversy when it came out. Like, as soon as it was released, there was like a lot of tweets about it, about how the author had no right to write about that stuff. And if you don't know what American Dirt is about, I think it follows a Mexican woman who has to leave Mexico to go to the US with her son. And the author is not a Mexican person. And I think that's where the controversy lies, because she's trying to speak for Mexicans as a white woman, and I think that's where the controversy is. But on Goodreads, it has a 4.29 out of 5, which is pretty high. So it makes me kind of uncertain as to whether I should read it or not. Like, there are 1-star reviews, there's 5-star reviews, but obviously there's more 5-star reviews than 1. So I don't know what to make of that. I think it kind of highlights the fact that own voices stories, so people from the minority, like if it, in this case Mexico, when they write their books and tell their stories, those aren't considered. Instead, people of European descent, when they write stories of their experiences, they're preferred over the actual minority group's books. So pretty much people are buying this person's book instead of the actual own voices book, and that's, I think, where majority of the controversy is. So that's why I'm a little bit torn on actually picking that book up. So yeah, I think I would need to hear some reviews of some people who are from Mexico, or to maybe consider it more seriously to read it. So let me know if there are any reviews for American Dirt that you found really helpful, and if you could send it to me, that would be awesome, because I kind of want to read it, but I kind of don't. Yeah. Okay, so the next book, I feel like most people are going to agree with me on this one, and that is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I want to read it because I grew up on Harry Potter. Like, I read all the books, watched all the movies. I'm not like a super hardcore Harry Potter fan, but I'm a fan enough that I would read something from the Harry Potter world. But I've heard such bad reviews for this that I kind of don't want to read it. And I know this is based off a play, so it's kind of like a playwright and not so much as a book, and J.K. Rowling didn't write it. I probably won't read this, but there are some funny reviews out there. So like there's some alternate titles like Harry Potter and the Great Scam, and can't read for more than 10 minutes without a headache, or caution, do not buy this book, or some bad reviews. A lot of bad reviews on it, that's for sure. I've seen it in thrift stores for $1, and I'm still like, I don't know about that. I don't want to, like, I've heard it's ruined some people's experience so much that it makes them enjoy Harry Potter, like the original books, less. So that kind of freaks me out, and I don't really want to do that. But I feel like I'm not alone in thinking I don't want to read this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to disagree. I want to know your reasoning. Okay, so the last book I want to mention, I think it is a series maybe, but I think the first book is called A Court of Thrones and Roses by Sarah J Maas, and I've never read any of Sarah J Maas's books, like any of them, and I think it's classified as adult fantasy, if I'm correct. And to me, that, like, looking at the covers and stuff, I'm like, oh, it looks like a YA book, just because like YA books have a certain look about them. And I was like, oh, it's obviously a YA book, but apparently it's not. And it's, I feel like I categorized that series or book with the Mortal Instruments series. They're kind of like, do I want to read them? Do I not want to read them? They're not high on the priority list. I don't know. There's so much hype around it. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence to read or not to read. But that's all the books that I'm going to mention today. I think there are a few more, but I don't want this video to be too long. Yeah, this is kind of fun. Having a beer, having a chat about books, good time. It's a good time. But I also think I'm on the fence about these books because I don't like to DNF books. So if I'm having a terrible time with a book, I will force myself to read it, which I know like isn't the best thing to do, but I need a sense of completion when I'm reading something or doing anything. Like if I'm doing a puzzle and I don't like it, I'm like, I have to finish this. So there's just like an urge in me to see everything through to its finish. So that's why I kind of am hesitating picking up these books, because I don't want to end up forcing myself to read all of it. So yeah, life is too short for bad books, but I'm also a very stubborn person, I guess. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. And also tell me what your typical reading tastes are, because I realize that like I might be setting up myself a failure for reading a romance book when I don't really like romance. But there's sometimes when there's moods, I'm a mood reader, where I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like a romance book. So like, should that be the first book that I pick up? You know what I mean? But thanks for joining me today. And you know what I forgot to do at the beginning of the video? I forgot to give you a cheers. Bing! Cheers. And I hope you guys have a good day, a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!